I will call the Joint Government Oversight and Health and Human Services Committee meeting of 3/17 to order. First item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is I need a motion to adopt the
Romano
agenda.
adopts the agenda.
Support Zinner.
I have a motion by Commissioner Romano, supported by Commissioner Zinner. Any questions on the agenda? Seeing none, please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Next item is approval of minutes dated February 10th, 2026.
Motion to approve, Van Sickle. Support.
I have a motion by Commissioner Van Sickle, supported by Commissioner Perna. Any discussion on the meeting minutes? Seeing none, please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Next item is our public participation. This is the first of two of our public participations. This one's for any agenda items only. Anyone from the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, we will close public participation and move to appointment interviews. Is Community Health Board appointment for vacancies, 3-year terms, April 1 through 2026 through March 31st, 2029. As you may or may not know, we have numerous applicants for this, so I would ask all as called to keep your remarks to 3 minutes. First on the list is Mr. Nick Ciaramitaro. I only call him Mr. because he's my neighbor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of there's two committees, I guess, so it's Mr. Chairman, Madam Chairman, and the others. My name is Nick Ciaramitaro. I think I know most of you. I've been a mental health advocate for over 40 years in the legislature, in the prosecuting attorney's office. With AFSCME, we're represented people including county employees here that work at mental health, and now about 12 years on the CMH board. I'm happy to report that we've had a number of successes. We've faced a lot of serious challenges over the last 12 years, but we've gotten some really great successes in recent times. We've seen a whole lot of new and innovative programs, many funded by grants, including things like the CCBHC, the Certified Community Behavioral Health Clinics, which take all comers and take any form of payment, and that really expands the number of people we can serve. We have a lot in terms of crisis management, including people who go right out to people's homes. We've worked on jail diversion, and we're working with the sheriff on the new facility at the jail. A lot of this is funded by grant funding, and our staff has done a really good job on that. Our finances, which were seriously a problem a few years back, are now well into the surplus area, primarily because we've been watching things real closely. But we do have a number of challenges that are coming up again. Medicaid cuts are creating financial problems for which we've pretty much planned, but we can only plan so far out. General fund cuts are still a problem. Payment to direct care workers and attracting and retaining direct care workers is still a problem. There's an increased need for services among folks, particularly as a result of the COVID crisis. The impact had a long tail rather than before. And there's the danger of the return of the RFP. With this commission's help, we were able to stop the RFP program that would have essentially shut down public mental health services. But it's rearing its ugly head again and probably will. I mean, we've managed to stop it 4 times. So we're a little worried that it's going to come back a 5th time. Well, we know it's likely to come back a 5th time. And that's a battle we're having with the department, but I'm hopeful that we can deal with it along the ways. I'm happy to answer any questions. I want to commend our board's leadership, Chairman Kraft and CEO Tracy Smith, who's in the audience, have really done a good job at leading us toward new programs and fiscal responsibility both at the same time. So thank you very much. I'd be happy to answer any questions, or you can get a hold of me by cell phone or email, which is, I sent you all an email.
Seeing none, thank you, Nick.
Thanks.
Next is Wayne Connor, who is unable to attend. Next is Melvenna Fant-Jones. Please.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
My name is Melvenna Fant-Jones. I am the founder and executive director of WHEAT, and WHEAT stands for Women Healing Eternally and Transforming. We are a survivor-led nonprofit that is based in St. Clair Shores, Michigan, and we service the families of Macomb County. We provide trauma-informed support services to families that are impacted by domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, as well as families that are experiencing homelessness. My interest to join the Community Health Board is both professionally and also deeply personal. I am a survivor of domestic violence, sexual assault, and homelessness. My experience with homelessness was a direct result of escaping domestic violence. And during that period, I also experienced sexual assault. But during that journey, and because of the firsthand knowledge that I have seen how critical access to mental health support and trauma-informed care, as well as safe community resources, can be for individuals and families that are navigating crisis. Professionally, I hold a Master's of Arts in Human Services with a concentration of trauma and crisis counseling. I am also certified in sexual assault trauma and also domestic violence trauma. For nearly 2 decades, I have worked with families, survivors, and vulnerable populations throughout southeastern Michigan. Through WHEAT, we provide case management services, housing stability, support, advocacy, and connection to mental health and counseling services for the families that are facing violence, trauma, and instability. If appointed to the Community Health Board, it will be my goal to strengthen the collaboration between the community-based organizations and the mental health support, because I have witnessed firsthand what happens when they don't have access to that support and how critical that support is. And so I'm just hoping and allowing, that you would allow me to the board. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Next is James Gammicchia. I didn't see you hide back there, James.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Jim Gammicchia. I'm currently employed with the City of Roseville, and I seek appointment to the Community Mental Health Board once again. Again, you have a tough decision. There's a ton of applicants this time, and it really goes to show the need and the dedication of these people. I've worked with local government my entire life. I'm a career public servant, and I currently am working with the CDBG program, those most vulnerable in our communities. I serve on the Macomb Community Action Advisory Board, again, looking at those programs that help those most vulnerable, and with that comes the mental health. And you'd think that with all that we do and with all the great work that's been done with the board, that it would recede, but it still rears its ugly head. And so I would ask for your consideration for appointment. Happy to answer any questions, and I'd love to serve on behalf of this county and those most vulnerable. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Next is Melvin Logan. Welcome.
Good afternoon to the entire board. My name is Melvin Logan. Why am I interested in serving on the board? Number one, I have dedicated over 27 years of my life working on the front line in the mental health field as a mental health technician. Number two, I would like to use my 9.5 experiences in state government as an assistant payments worker to be able to help shape policies and services that will strengthen our CMH board. Number three, with this unique blend of experience that I have, I feel a calling to serve even more at a leadership level, making decisions that will improve outcomes for Macomb County residents. If I'm appointed, my goals would be A, to strengthen quality of care through supporting programs that promote recovery, dignity, and independence. B, to improve access to services through working to reduce barriers to care for rural populations as well as underserved populations. C, to support the workforce by encouraging training and retention. And then D, to strengthen existing community partnerships by re-emphasizing an improved approach to collaboration with hospitals, schools, law enforcement, and nonprofits. Number three, my relevant skills and experience are, as I said before, more than 27 years of experience working directly with individuals who have diverse and complex needs. Also, insight into client care, crisis response, and the importance of person-centered treatment and person-centered support. And last, working in state government, I developed skills in policy interpretation and implementation of state and federal programs, administrative processes, and the responsible stewardship of public resources. Thank you for allowing me to come before you, board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Sharnita Mangum. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Sharnita Mangum, and I stand before you asking to be a part of the board for community mental health. It is one of my greatest passions in being a social worker for Regina High School. I have seen from preschool all the way to high school and adult that suffers from mental health. And I want to be a part of something that can stop that stigma that because it's part of the brain that is taboo to talk about or people don't want to get services. Just being in the community, working for Community Housing Network, I was in the trenches. We house people because in 1991, Engler closed all the mental hospitals, and especially the main one, Lafayette in Detroit, Northville as well. And these people that still need services are put in public settings, and they just can't cope. And we don't have the staff or the team or the resources to help these people in normal settings. And so at Community Housing Network, we will pull the homeless off the street. They would have to have a dual diagnosis with substance abuse and mental health, and we put them in a normal home. And that's where I came in to do case management. I would meet with them once a week, twice a week, whenever I need to meet with them to make sure they stay self-sufficient in the home. But it was hard for me because I didn't have any resources. And with them being homeless, a lot of people already take the beds at the hospitals already. And so now everyone's fighting for a bed to get services. And so being on this board, I can help open up the doors and let people see how important it is and how people are suffering and actually need help and advocacy to be able to live and sustain in normal settings because we don't have the hospitals. Even work for Melina Healthcare as a Medicaid advocacy supplement. And I was on a task force of trying to get people not to overuse the medical insurance. But how can CNA when they need help and there's no other resources but the hospitals. So I'm hoping to be able to advocate with you all, to get the community together, to come together to support mental health, because it's not only just about the head, it's the body as well put together. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jennifer Oprisiu. She's unable to attend. So next would be Debra Ross.
You miss one?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Who on this?
This is a beautiful setting. I thank you for the invitation to share why I want to be a part of you. For 40 years, I've worked in geriatric health and development in all three of our counties, Waco, Oakland, and Macomb. Born and raised here in Macomb, so my ties here to our community have led me in my volunteer work through the Alzheimer's Association to become an advocate for mental health and well-being for our aging population. And that includes anyone who is a caregiver to know how important mental health is. So I'm in our communities, I'm in our cities, promoting education, resources available to our those in need, but for more importance, they don't always know what they need. So creating that awareness in the communities that I'm already in, tied to a wonderful board of mental health, would certainly send a stronger message. Plus, I feel that my years of experience in our aging population will certainly be beneficial in tying where the needs are with the resources that we have available, or perhaps even on a higher level as we advocate in our state capital for funding, for education, whether it's for our law enforcement officers so that they too can reach out to our community members appropriately, to know where those resources are, and to boost our funding for any and all of the resources that we need. I think it would be a good fit. I would be really excited to be a part of all of you and be able to contribute my knowledge as well as my connections and experience, whether it's through the veterans homes here in Chesterfield, where we did training for our communities, whether they're suffering from dementia-related illness and PTSD, whether I'm at Martha T. Berry providing education and resources for those community members that didn't even know what to do when their loved ones are diagnosed or showing signs and symptoms of mental decline. So pairing that together with what I have to offer, I'm hoping that I'm a consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Sarah Mistretta. Boy, if I got that name right, that'd be good.
Good afternoon, Honorable Board. My name is Sarah Mistretta. I'm a career public servant, having started my journey in the legislature working for Dennis Olshovia and State Representative Lesia Liss, in my past roles as Assistant City Manager with Fraser, and now as the HR Director at Chesterfield. I've seen the importance on all sides of having accessibility to care for not only mental health, but substance abuse. I think my role with this board and my goal with this board would be to help bridge the gap between our first responders and access to care. Oftentimes, our residents, that's the first interaction that they're having with our first responders is when they are in need of critical assistance. And I think through my history and experience with these individuals, that I think it would be a great fit for the board in helping that bridge in care and promotion of that type of access within the community. Thank you.
Thank you. If you talk to Leslie, give her my regards. She was my seatmate up in Lansing.
Mine as well.
Oh. Next is William Rucker-Floyd.
First, thank you for the opportunity to speak in front of you guys today. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate what you do serving the residents of Macomb County. A little bit about myself. I am a contractor, engineering technician, project coordinator, planner, scheduler. Comes with a lot to ensure that the lights stay on in Macomb County. With that being said, I do have a recommendation from the Planning Commission Secretary. I also sit on the Planning Commission as a commissioner in Clinton Township. Sorry about that. When I think about mental health in our community, two words come to mind: trust and access. In my opinion, trust has to come first. Because if people don't trust the system, they won't access the services. No matter how many programs exist in many neighborhoods, especially those that have historically felt overlooked, mental health service systems can feel distant, intimidating, confusing. Families may not even know what's available, or they might not even feel comfortable even reaching out. That's why trust is important. When trust is built through presence, relationships, and consistency, it happens when people see organizations working in the schools, see them working in the community centers, and spaces where families tend to gather. It happens when people feel heard, respected, and understood. Through my work in the community, organizing conversations, and connecting with members of this board, I understand working together is what builds that trust. Because when trust exists, access becomes real. People who are willing to help families feel more comfortable reaching out. And that's how we get the stigma to break down. If given the opportunity on this board, I would focus on strengthening that bridge between mental health systems and the community, ensuring the services are not only available, but they're truly reachable. At the end of the day, mental health services only work if people who need them feel confident enough to walk through the door. And that starts with trust. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Edlira Sako. She may not be here. Next is Selena Marie Schmidt. She's unable to attend. Stephanie Thornton. Welcome.
Hello, welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to be here and speak. My name's Steph Thornton. I am a community health worker for Priority Health. I'm also an MSW student. Oh, the little one right there. I'm so sorry, I got distracted. I'm also a doula as well. So a lot of the things that the individual spoke about was mistrust, navigation of resources. As a community health worker, that's literally my job. I help individuals to navigate and find resources. I walk alongside them. I'm not a savior. I'm not there to fix problems, but essentially just help them to find the things that they need and walk alongside them to help them find what works for their families. As I mentioned, I'm also an MSW student. I'll be completing my MSW this summer. Super excited about that. I do live from us. My professional passion and purpose is mental health. This is something that I do professionally, and it's something that I actually advocate for outside of that. I do currently sit on the National Association of Social Workers Michigan Chapters Board. I am the member at large, as well as the Michigan Community Health Worker Association. So it's really something that I live and breathe. If appointed and given that opportunity, I feel like I would bring that frontline experience, that lived expertise, and just a perspective of understanding how we can build that trust into the community. I've been a resident of Macomb County for well over 10 years. I feel like this is a great place to live. I live in Warren, and there's just so many opportunities for us to come together as a community and really be that radical change and impact. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next is Brooke Wagenknecht. I knew I blew that one.
I always say Wagner, but it's Wagenknecht.
Missed another one.
I don't even see where Brooke is. So good afternoon. My name is Brooke Wagenknecht. I want to thank. Oh,
Go ahead.
am I okay? Okay. Sorry. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I have waited a long time for a moment like this. Try not to get too emotional. I am grateful to be here, not just to share my experience, but to advocate for real change in women's mental health. I want to start with a simple truth. I'm lucky to still be here, ironically on St. Patrick's Day. I love all of your green, by the way. I needed immediate specialized mental health support, but it wasn't available when I needed it most. That experience has stayed with me for 14 years, and it's why I am speaking here today. My goal is clear: to create accessible, timely, and specialized mental health support for women during and after pregnancy, with care for both mother and baby, as well as later situations such as menopause of the change of life women experience. Right now, there's a gap in care. We have clear systems for children, veterans, substance abuse, but not specifically for postpartum or women's health. Mothers are the foundation of their families, and they deserve care as urgently as babies they nurture. After my son was born, I asked for help. I was given a few phone numbers, 2 didn't work, and 1 had a 9-week waiting period. My doctor prescribed medications with little guidance, saying I'd feel better in about 6 weeks, but I didn't. I got worse. That led to an inpatient hospital stay. Sorry. It wasn't designated for postpartum support. I felt confined and traumatized instead of cared for. I went from hoping to get help to trying to get out safely. This is not a system built for urgent maternal care. Postpartum mental health conditions can escalate very quickly. Without timely support, crises affect not just mothers, but entire families. Yes, we don't always treat them with the same urgency as physical health emergencies. There is a real opportunity to do better. I am advocating for dedicated access points for postpartum and women's mental health, rapid response or crisis support specific to postpartum needs, providers trained in maternal mental health, mother and baby units that allow safe bonding and family involvement, peer support programs for mothers like I that have faced postpartum struggles, offering guidance and experience to get them through, something I needed 14 years ago. Even today, I couldn't confidently guide another woman in crisis to immediate help. That uncertainty should not exist. We need a system where women are met with urgency, compassion, and understanding during one of the most fragile times of their life. I share my story just to reflect on, not to just reflect on the past, but to help create a better path forward. I'll leave it with, no mother should have to fight to survive the very moment she brings life into the world. Because when we care for mothers, we care for entire generations. Thank you for listening to my story and my goals for mental health.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Sue Tyce. Welcome.
Thank you. Good day, board members. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. I also want to, I'm just amazed to be here for one. I didn't catch my breath. It's a long-term dream or goal of mine that I've had. My name is Sue Tyce. I am honored for this opportunity to present to you as a member, or excuse me, to have an opportunity to be appointed to the Macomb County Mental Health Board. Why am I interested in this role? I've worked a long time in this system, from the state, primarily Detroit, Wayne, mental health, Macomb County mental health as a provider, a leadership in community mental health. And I'm finally at a point in my life where I can choose to contribute and participate in systems as opposed to being required because of, employment, income barriers, and things of that nature. I have a long-standing commitment to strengthening public mental health systems in Southeast Michigan. I've seen firsthand how important thoughtful governance, strong partnerships, and data-informed decision-making, how it can improve the outcomes for the participants in your system. I believe that Macomb County is doing important work, and I want to be a support to help you expand that impact. I'm a licensed professional counselor with a doctorate in counseling. I have many years teaching and mentoring future clinicians, helping them to build the skills, the ethics, and the cultural responsiveness needed to serve diverse communities. In addition to my academic work, I have extensive experience in counseling and supporting individuals with mental health needs, autism, intellectual disabilities, and also I have consulted with, led many organizations in operational leadership and service delivery. Across these roles, I've contributed to policy development, community engagement, strategic planning, and again, like I said, I believe I have quite a bit to offer now that I am in a position that I can freely provide and offer my expertise and my background. Few of the goals that I have if I'm a member on this board and chosen is, of course, ensuring equitable person-centered care to individuals who often face barriers to accessing care. It's one thing to have the services available, but your residents and your consumers still need to know how to access them and where they are. Many still do not know or have that information. I'd like to also continue to strengthen workforce development by bringing the perspective of an educator to the decision-making. I understand the training pipeline. It has changed over the last 10 years. Many of the organizers are for-profit, so your education is very different from what it used to be. The goal and the mission has changed, so your workforce is different. And I have the insight and the experience to help understand what your workers need to train, or what is needed to train skilled workers, and also a compassionate workforce. So I also would like to contribute, another goal is to contribute to strategic planning efforts by balancing, again, physical responsibility with the innovation. I've been a researcher for many years looking at the research in mental health and integrated care. Your big beautiful bill has caused some hiccups and brought some new perspectives. So I'm well versed in the literature, what's needed to train the workforce, as well as what it takes for the agencies to operate. Some things sound really good on paper, but when it comes to implementing it, it's another thing. Having that eye initially is a great asset. So in closing, I bring a systems thinking approach. a strong grounding in evidence-based practices, and also a deep respect for the lived experiences of the consumers. I've probably been on every side of it. And again, I'd like to have the opportunity to contribute my expertise, my knowledge, my background, and also just my wit. So I want to thank you again for this opportunity. I'd be honored to contribute to this board and the well-being of Macomb County residents. Thank you again.
Thank you. Next is Commissioner Wallace. You don't have to.
I have a lot of questions for her.
Thank you, Board, and thank you, everyone, for coming today. I mean, the wealth of knowledge that you all have is amazing. I'm Antoinette Wallace. I am a county commissioner. I am a mother, a wife, a track coach, a realtor, and a mental health advocate. What I bring to the board, well, first, I was going to say a little bit about the board, but Nick kind of ran through everything, so I won't, thank you, Nick. I won't repeat any of that, but to speak a little bit about myself and what I bring to the board. The reason why I wanted to be a part of this board originally was because representation matters. And being a Black woman, I felt like where I didn't see myself, which means a lot of people aren't seeing themselves, a lot of women, a lot of Black people, minorities aren't seeing themselves. So I really wanted to be on the board to be that representation and be that voice. And when I was chosen to be on the board, I was very happy, and I took off running, like appointed, now what can I do? How can I go out into the community? And now I do head 2 health fairs a year, one in February and then one in the summer. And mental health is the basis of that. Education is the basis of, what our community needs, because many of you have said, we don't know. A lot of our community members do not know what's out there for free for them to get the help that they need, to get the advocacy that they need. So that is a big thing that I bring. How can I bring it to you, to your community? And I do represent District 8, the great District 8, that is Clinton Township and Mount Clemens. So a lot of my fairs are in those areas. Human trafficking, we've done a fair on that, just making people aware and how to protect themselves. This year we did a self-defense class, and then knowledge on how you can protect yourself, and also knowledge on what resources are out there, how you can contact community mental health to get the help that you need if you have been a victim of this. And we've also done just strictly mental health awareness fairs, just sit down and talk how we're here for the communities, how small businesses can help the homeless, what to look out for, how you can help your community member, your neighbor. So those are the kind of things that I like to do, not to mention, like I said, I'm an advocate. So if you need someone to speak up, if you need someone to do a press conference, if you need someone to get a little loud, that is what I love to do, and that's what I'm here for. I love to represent the board in so many ways, and I think that those are some of my strongest assets so far. Thank you, board.
Thank you. Seeing no questions. Last but not least, Dorothy Watson.
Good afternoon. I'm Dorothy Watson. I applied for one of the seats on the Community Mental Health Board. I'm a retired nurse. I did work for Macomb County from 2004 to 2010 at Martha T. Berry, where I was the unit manager of the Dementia Alzheimer's unit. At that point, I had some life-changing things that happened at home. I made the decision to go to work for CMH. I worked for Community Mental Health almost every department, I tell people, but I don't know for sure. I started with specialized residential services, which was the group homes. After that, I went to work for children's services, where I oversaw the medical needs of about 700 kids, depending on what their needs were, whether they were a waiver child, which they receive a special Medicaid, or they were a child with Down syndrome or autism. I oversaw their medical needs, and I reported their labs to the physician on staff, which at the time was Dr. Pejman and Dr. Vench. I was pulled from that position to be the hospital liaison. What that job was is I would go see folks in our contracted facilities, Harbor Oaks, Henry Ford, Mount Clemens at the time, multiple places every day that did not have services in place to meet their mental health needs. And I would go back, put my notes in, go back, and call them out a couple weeks later after they'd been discharged, and just see where they were, how they were surviving, what they were doing. Sometimes I'd get people into rehab the next day, not very often. Other times people would just disappear from the face of the earth. After that, the pandemic happened. The pandemic, we weren't allowed to go into hospitals. So John Pasquaretti at the time asked me if I would consider taking a nurse job at ACT, and I did. That's the Assertive Community Treatment Team, where we saw people that were literally towing the line between hospitalization and suicide or homicide a lot of times. I also oversaw the not guilty by reason of insanity folks that we had in our service. At the time, and I still believe this, the mentally ill is the last frontier in medicine. They're the most underserved population we have in the medical community. You know, if somebody had high blood pressure, we wouldn't treat them the way we treat somebody who has schizophrenia. A little bit about me. I'm the daughter of an Irish immigrant, Solancha. I also am a foster parent. I've been a foster parent since 2005. I adopted 3 children from foster care, all with fetal alcohol syndrome, the youngest one being autistic. They are verging on adults. What I have to say about community mental health is, as a parent, and I worked for Macomb County, it is very difficult to navigate the system. And I work there. I was fortunate enough I could pick at other people to find out what I needed to do to get services for these kids. I've seen children in my foster home that autism, dysthymia, a ton of fetal alcohol syndrome, drug addiction. But what really, really bugged me was the fact that it took a long time to figure out how to get services in place. And I worked there. So I can't imagine how it was for people who didn't work there, who didn't have an idea of what to do. A lot of times people don't know that we have an 800 number for Access Center, or that they could Google it, or go to 211 and get services. And I think that's where we need to cross the bridge and get someone in place to help these people. If they need Medicaid, do we have somebody that can facilitate and help them apply for Medicaid? Once I left the county in 2021, I went to work for Easter Seals, where I saw waiver patients. And my job was I would see all my patients, I did their Medicaid renewals. So it's not a hard task. It's just they need somebody to help them navigate the system to get through and get the services in place. It is better now, but we still don't have enough providers to meet the needs of our kids. Kids that require infant mental health, we have to go outside of the CMH system to get help. And that just, even if it's happening, it should not happen with the time frame it happens in. I had a child in my home not too long ago that waited 6 months for infant mental health, and he's with an outside agency because we had to wait for an opening. I don't have anything else. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes the interviews. I would like to, on behalf of the board, thank all of you. The vast array of experience and personal experiences was overwhelming. I would also like to thank our chairperson of the Community Mental Health Board, Commissioner Kraft, and Commissioner Wallace, and the excellent jobs they've been doing. So I'll take a motion to refer the recommendations to full board.
So moved. Support.
I have a motion by Commissioner Goyke, supported by Commissioner Howard. Any discussion? Please vote.
Chair, I want to say something.
Oh, excuse me, Commissioner Howard.
Really? I just wanted to thank everyone for applying. As Commissioner Hall already said, we have 17 people applying with only 4 spots available. And so I want to thank you for your service that you're already serving the community, your stories that are vital and very important. But I just want to challenge to everyone. Obviously, we have 17 spots, only 4 positions available. There's so many needs, whether you look at policy, Black mental health care. This is the most diverse series of applications I've ever seen. What folks might know, the largest and fastest population of suicide is actually amongst Black men in our nation. Suicide, unfortunately, amongst Black and brown kids is up 146%. And so I love the diverse representation, whether you talk about policy, postpartum, or doulas. My challenge is this. All of you guys represent different communities in in Macomb County, whether it's Warren, Centerline, St. Clair Shores. I would challenge you, if you don't receive the appointment here, find somewhere else to serve. A lot of times we see people that apply that don't go apply somewhere else to serve. There's community mental health boards all throughout this county. I sit on a community mental health board, but there's so many other areas to serve in your local municipality that you guys bring so much experience to the table. I feel unqualified to make this decision, but I feel like you guys have so much to bring to your communities. I just want to challenge you to go serve in your local community, whether we have veterans. I'm sure Laura Rios would love to help some support back there with our veteran care, or anywhere else. So just thank you and go serve. That's it.
Thank you. Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Civil Service Commission Executive Appointment with Board Concurrence, 1 vacancy, partial term to expire on December 31st, 2029. I need a motion to refer to full board.
So moved. Support.
Charlie, I see in the audience over here. You can bring Pat with you if you want. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
We have one sheriff,
Hi,
one former
guys.
sheriff standing
I haven't seen
in front.
Harold and Joe in quite a while, so. Hi, guys. My name is Charles T. Missig, and I'm very happy to be here. I got a phone call from Patrick about a month ago about the opening for the Civil Service Commission, and quite frankly, I'm actually pretty excited about it. I never thought I'd be at a podium again. I thought I was all done with anything political or anything like that, but it's an honor to be considered, and I have a lot of knowledge and experience. I was a deputy sheriff for 31 years in Macomb County. I was on our executive board for the last 10 years of my career with Patrick. Patrick was the president. I was a sergeant at arms. So we had 250 people in our union, the Macomb County Deputy and Dispatchers Association. And whenever somebody was in trouble, in violation of rules or regs or SOPs, I would always go in there on behalf of the union with the undersheriff. And so I have a lot of knowledge with I guess situations like that. And like I said, I have a lot of experience and a lot of life experience. And yeah, so it's an honor to be here. And I thank Patrick for basically bringing me back out of the like nowhere. So. If you have any other questions.
Charlie, you thought he was a friend of yours and he's bringing you back to the Civil Service Board?
Pardon me, Harold?
You thought Patrick was a friend of yours and he's asking you to participate in the Civil Service Board?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
Patrick, anything you'd like to say?
He'll find out soon.
And I obviously I don't sound the way I used to. I went through. I'm 2 years in remission from throat cancer, so I actually feel like I've got a new lease on life, and so in all honesty, I'm actually pretty excited about the possibility of being on the Civil Service Commission. So.
Great. Seeing no questions, please vote. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Patrick.
Motion passes 13-0.
Next item is collective bargaining agreement, International Union of Operating Engineers, March 28, 2026 to December 31st, 2028. Is Carlin? Oh, there she is. I need a motion to refer to full board.
So moved.
Support.
I have a motion by Commissioner Howard, supported by Commissioner Lucido. Go yours, Carlin.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm back again. Before you is another contract that needs ratification. This is with our boiler operators here in Macomb County. Just a reminder, we bargained with them. We needed to go to mediation to get this settled. We did that and successfully reached an agreement through the mediator. And so in front of you today is the ratification of that. It is the same as we've been talking about for all the other bargaining units. The only thing that really is different in this is the effective date of when the changes will occur based on the post 1/1/2026 ratification.
How many contracts do we have left now, Carlin?
Just one.
Just one.
Prosecutors.
Yes, we're in mediation with our prosecutors.
That's great. Seeing
We'll get
no
there.
speakers, please vote. Thank you, Carlin.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is ordinance 2026-XX, an ordinance to amend and restate enrolled ordinance number 2017-03, an ordinance to establish comprehensive contracting and procurement policies and procedures and to provide penalties and consequences for violations. I need a motion to refer to full board.
So moved.
Support.
I have a motion by Commissioner Howard, supported by Commissioner Van Sickle. Chair, did you want to speak on this?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think I've spoken
Think
enough
we're
on
good.
this.
Seeing no speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Next is an ordinance 2026-XX, an ordinance to establish the compensation of the Macomb County Executive pursuant to section 11.7 of the Home Rule Charter of Macomb County. I need a motion to refer that to full board.
So moved.
Support.
I have a motion by Commissioner Lucido, supported by Commissioner Howard. Seeing no speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 12-1. Commissioner Kraft voting no.
Thank you. Next is resolutions. This is receive and file resolution 2025-14157, a resolution authorizing transfer of certain county real property to Macomb Community College. I need a motion to receive and file.
Motion to receive and file.
Support.
Motion by Romano, supported by Commissioner Perna. Chair, would you like to speak on this one?
Sure, why not? Chair, I just wanted to make note, I know we've been talking about the MCC library for quite some time. We are currently in the midst of a space assessment right now for all of the county assets. And I just want to report that this property has been included in that assessment. So it'll be included in that report. And then at that time, we can deem what we're going to do with that property at a later date. So I just wanted to give everybody an update. It's been progressing for the last few months, but I just wanted to give everybody an update where it stands as far as the assessment goes and the appraisal in totality. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Seeing no speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Next item is proclamations. I'll take a motion to refer 10A and 10B to full board.
So moved.
Support.
I have a motion by Commissioner Howard, supported by Commissioner Van Sickle. 10A is a proclamation congratulating regional qualifiers from the Mount Clemens wrestling team, Parks and Recreation, submitted by Commissioner Wallace, Commissioner Sabatini, and Board Chair. Proclamation recognizing March as Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Month. Everybody but nobody. So, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Next item is 11A, 2026 Annual Report of Macomb Agricultural Purchase of Development Rights Committee. Need a motion to refer to full board?
Motion to
Receive and
refer.
file.
Motion receive and file.
Support.
I have a motion by Commissioner Groth, supported by Commissioner Lucido. Is anyone going to speak on this, or we're just receiving and filing? Oh, Commissioner Goyke.
Yeah, I'd like to give a little bit of an update, what's going on with this. So for the people who don't really understand what this, for the PDR, what this is to land preservation for agricultural property in Macomb County. It's a program designed by the state through the Department of Ag that once it qualifies, that the state will give some funds that come in for it to the farmer, for him not to sell it, and that it can stay in a full lifetime of farming. That's the way the deed will be registered underneath. And if anything occurs on it, they have to pay the money back to the state that they got into the, that kind of subsidized it a little bit to help these people not want to, sell off their property. This past year, we had the Ken Coleman family farm up in Richmond Township that was awarded it by the state, and it went through, a couple months ago, and that's the only one that went through for our county. The previous one was the family of, Mark Falker Farm, which was over in Bruce Township, was a couple years ago. Right now, we do have a couple of applications that are in, and then we meet, every couple months to go over the whole process and what rules are changed from Lansing to make the property qualify in order for it to be, it's a, soil, it's not where you get paid not to farm it or anything, so they still farm the ground. It's just that it will stay into agricultural land forever, and that's what this process is. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer it. So Kendi Cook is the man, is our leader of that, and he's been involved with that for quite a few years. Don Brown is also on that board, and he's been on it since its inception as well. So I can entertain any answers of questions that you may have.
No, but thank you for that explanation. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Seeing no speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Next is Health and Human Service Committee. It's my pleasure to give it to Commissioner Lassie.
Thank you, Chair Ha. I'll open up the Health and Human Service Committee meeting, and we will start with Health and Human Service Committee presentations. Can I get, we'll start with item A, Veteran Service 2025 fourth quarter report. Can I get a motion to receive and file?
So moved. Support.
I have a motion by Howard, support by Van Sickle, and we have Laura Rios here to give us our update.
Good afternoon. So for the quarterly report, which is really the end of year report, since it's calendar year, we've given you some data on how many cases we've, how many people we've served, how many cases we've taken care of. The big numbers, number 10, which is federal claims back pay, and number 11, reoccurring monthly. This at least lets you know that we are serving our veterans. Our veterans are getting compensation from the VA, and this is the dollar amount. So once they get awarded, we add it to our quarterly report. And then their monthly then goes underneath at number 11. As far as some personnel changes, we had a part-time position. The person resigned. She'd been in the position for 6 years. She's ready to retire, because she retired from the county, came back, helped me out. Now she's ready to be a grandma and take care of grandbabies. So we just interviewed and hired somebody in January for that, but that vacancy was all of, the fourth quarter of last year. So that person is now on our staff. As far as financial coaching, psych evaluations, transportation, we are serving our veterans. So we are taking them to the VA for their appointments. So that's good news. And that was just our quarterly assistance with how many people we transported in that quarterly accomplishments. Any questions on the quarterly report?
Commissioner Howard.
Just wanted to share a quick story. There's a veteran that lives about 1.5 miles from me, and we were just in the community together talking, and he said that he just spoke very highly of you and what the Veteran Service Commission here does. He's in pretty good health. I think he's around 70 years old, and he's was like, he always thought, I don't need these services, and I don't need this help because I'm in good shape and all this stuff. And I was talking to him about it, and he's like, I'm going to go after what I deserved and what I earned being a veteran. And so he talked very highly about you and everything that you guys are doing over there. So I just want to say thank you for your service. It's making a difference in lives of veterans in our county.
Happy dance.
That's all.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sabatini.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Laura. Quick question in regards to the federal claims back pay retro.
Okay.
So between 2021 and 2025, there's about almost a $5 million increase in that.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's huge.
That means we're winning cases.
So how does that work? Like, what's the process and what's
Appeals-
changed from
appeals can
21 to
take-
25?
Okay, so appeals take, I've got an appeal going right now that's over 10 years old. Over 10 years old. The veteran submitted a claim in 2015. He passed away in 2015. The widow continues the claim. Hopefully, we've been promised this year, because now she's been advanced on docket based on her age, and the Board of Veteran Appeals will do that. And hopefully this year we will see her decision, and hopefully it's favorable, but then that will give 10,000, that's 10 years of retro. So this retro amount, for the most part, VA is doing standard claims within 4 months. If it's on the presumptive list, if it's you just got out of service and here's all your records and you've only been out for less than 10 seconds, like 1 year, and they will go ahead and look at everything, service connect you, and if you're denied, it's because you don't have a diagnosis usually, or it's not something they rate, because they don't rate cholesterol, they don't rate every single condition that is known to mankind. But that is basically, we're fighting for our veterans. That's what that retro means. We're fighting for our veterans. We're in appeals, and because of the appeals and how long they take, they're due that money back to the date of the original claim.
Okay, great. And then I know you're one PT office assistant senior. Has that position been filled?
Yes.
It has? Okay, great. Thank you.
PT, part-time, correct, yes. That's one we just hired in January, and she started in February. So we went through that process starting in December. You know how that goes. It just takes a little bit longer to get all the interviews. And my committee, my Veterans Committee, does the interviews, so they meet twice a month. So it's, you know, working it around their calendar too.
All right, seeing no other speakers, can we please vote?
Motion passes 12-0.
All right, we're going to move on to item 14, which is department recommendations, and we are going to start out with item A, a purchase, Martin Media Services LLC, Veteran Services Media Advertising, in the amount of $190,200. Can I get a motion to recommend a full board?
Support Zinner.
I have a motion by Haw, supported by Zinner, and Laura?
All right, so I came with some statistical data from our last purchase. If we remember 6 months ago, we were here 8 months ago trying to do the buy for the Detroit Tigers and then the Detroit Lions. And that's what we're doing now. We're looking at our buy because guess what? The Tigers start playing here soon. Like in, I think the beginning of April is their home game, their opening game. So we want to get on board and just do both of those purchases at one time in front of you. The money's been set aside in our budget. You approved our budget. Martin Media Services, we went through that contract stuff. I think that was approved by you all in October. Because I have multiple sources of funding for especially advertising, I have multiple different grants and funding for it. We went to the board here back in, I believe it was October, for the one that was going to start in October. So, so you approved that. And obviously I knew my budget was going to be different. It was just that was the first thing that we had ready to go. So let me give you some statistical data. This is a recap of last year's season for the baseball and for the football, and where are we going from here? So our office is trying to create a branding. Focus on this branding is basically letting veterans feel proud that they served and that we support them. Our Tigers ad ran from April through August during 128 games. We purchased $25,000 worth of advertising, but based on how many people watched the live streaming when our ad ran, we received over $28,000 in bonus spots and impressions. So when we stream, basically an impression is who's watching it at the time that it's being aired. That's what an impression is. So for the Detroit Lions buy, we ran from September through January. We purchased linear, which is on the TV, and we also purchased streaming. So based on the impressions received, we received over $54,000 in bonus impressions. So more people are watching than we purchased, and that came to us as bonus. So YouTube, which the county just throws our TV commercial on YouTube, just on YouTube, just last year, we had 146,000 people watch our YouTube video on YouTube. So that's totally different than the other two. So what does this mean? How many people sought out our services? It's hard to compare phone calls received this year to last year because we've been advertising for 6 years. So at any given month, we got something going on. We got tax season going on. We have that big MVAA buy that we had 2 or 3 years ago that was over 500,000. So if you're trying to compare how many calls this month to how many calls this time last year, it's kind of hard to do that. So let's see what else I can track. So our calls range from 1,100 a month to almost 1,600 a month, giving which month it is. But our office in October started tracking how many new veterans came to our office. How many new veterans have we started servicing? And just since October through January, because that was our Lions buy, we showed 612 new customers. So that's October, November, December, and January. 4 months, we saw 612 new customers. So there's the meat. We can say, I have, 1 million people watching my ad, which is wonderful. But how many people are actually calling? And then how many people are making an appointment? Because we don't track every single phone call necessarily, because we already have so many people calling for transportation rides. And that's a lot. And Macomb Community Action can tell you how busy we are with that, to where they're hiring more drivers because we're busy. But here's my other thing that I want to give you. I would say our advertising is working. Sports targets all ages. Our newest commercial that I sent to Crystal today, that hopefully she will share, because it's been in the works for the last month or so. It's not about me. It's not Mark Hackle. It's not the county. It's a veteran story. And it's his walk through his journey and how we helped him through his journey. So my goal this year is to target younger veterans. I'm not dissing the older veterans. I'm just saying they got a lot of free time that they come in anyway to seek services because they're not working. My goal is to target the younger veterans. They're busy. They're trying to balance life, activities, children, and I need them to come in because, look at, as you see these benefits, you see these retro. If we can start getting their benefits that they might be entitled to now, instead of waiting until they're 80, look how much more they can do for their family. So this year we want to let one of our disabled veterans do all the talking, to put the focus on his story and how our office assisted and supporting him, and to help him and his family move forward. So that's the new message you're going to see for this year. And you're just going to see this little tiny MacombVets.com at the bottom. You're going to see a little kind of like a business card at the end and a QR code, but it's his story and how we helped him through his story.
Thank you. We do have a couple of questions. Commissioner Van Sickle.
Thank you. Good afternoon. How are you?
Thank you.
You mentioned that you had, I forget the organization, you had 25,000 of advertising and you got 28,000 equity, did you say?
Okay, so for the baseball, we spent $25,000 in the streaming ads for 128 games. Baseball was cheaper than football. But based on how many people watched it when it was aired, we got over $28,000 worth of bonus spots. We pay based on impressions.
So you paid 25,000, but it would have been worth.
It's over 50.
So it was a good value for your money, you're saying. Okay.
More people are watching than they expected that we paid for.
Okay. And I was curious, you mentioned younger veterans. Well, I'm going to use the term new veterans and old veterans. A new veteran being somebody who just got out of the service, whether they're 25 or 50, and an older veteran is somebody who's been out of the service for a while, 10, 15, 20 years. Do you track from your advertising whether it's newer veterans or longer term veterans who are responding to the ads?
On my tracking sheet that most of my employees fill out.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing.
That's okay. On my tracking sheet, so we have a daily tracking sheet. On the tracking sheet is the name of the person, who helped them, what they came in for, what era they served. So was it Korea, World War II, Vietnam, Gulf? And then are they new? Or are they not new? Because we just added that column in October because I myself want to know if it is worth, because we've never advertised with sports. I want to know if it's worth the price that we pay to advertise. So that's when we started adding that column. Now, I could possibly go back, because I remember telling you that we have over, 612 new clients. I can go back and say, okay, this one is Vietnam, this one is Korea, this one is World War II, this one is Gulf. But understand one thing, we're not tracking their age. We're tracking the era they served.
Okay.
Gulf War is 1990 to the present. That's, do the math, 35 years, so that's 35 years. So those folks, I served in 1990, I served in 1980, but I served in 1990, but they're anywhere from, we're seeing, actually, I have an 80-year-old veteran who was in the Guard until he was 60, and he served in the Gulf. He served in Vietnam and in the Gulf. So he's 80. So when we say, you see what I'm trying to track.
Yeah.
And my goal is, when I say younger veterans, I'm saying the younger veterans that are getting out of the service or who got out 10 years ago. Like, you have a family, you have children. I'm too busy to go to an exam. I'm too busy to deal with this paperwork. I'm too busy. I don't have time for it. But trying to get them to understand, make the time, because the rewards are, for the rest of your life. This story of this veteran that's featured in my, he was on his 3rd deployment when he got blown up.
Yeah.
And he's got a hole in his leg. So he brings it to where he's medically retired at the age of 22. And he talks about his story and his journey. And now how his family, his wife and children, are going to all have education benefits because he's 100% disabled.
Yeah. Well, tracking their ear is somewhat related to their age.
Kind of, sort of.
It's yeah, I agree, kind of, sort of. And are you supplied any statistics about the population of veterans in Macomb County? Because every year we have people, new veterans who join that population, and we have veterans who leave, whether they move or other unfortunate reasons that they leave the population. Do you know whether the population is shrinking or expanding?
Oh, it's shrinking. I'm telling you right now, it's shrinking. This year, the gross distribution of funds did not have the population on it. So usually the VA produces, because they do fiscal year, and the end of fiscal year is October, and it's usually around the 1st of June, first week of June, we get this data from federal VA, and it has how much money was spent, how many veterans, how many people are doing home loans, how many people are getting compensation, and it has this tracking stuff. This year, the gross distribution of funds came out, and it was probably September. They were way behind, and it did not have the population. So I had to go to other locations to try to find the population, and we clearly went from 40 to like 30 overnight. So we're somewhere in the mid-30s as far as the veterans population, where just 2 years ago we were sitting at 40.
So if you've increased veterans who are using your services, and the population has decreased some, that speaks very well for what you're doing.
Well, we're doing our best. We're targeting, we have 2 bases. We have the Detroit Arsenal, TACOM, we have the base here, and we've got active duty, we have Guard, we have Reserve, and it's really targeting that population also to make sure that they apply.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
All right, Commissioner Goike.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for that type of a wonderful job, because veterans are just, they need to find out about it. So mine is more of a technical question, and hopefully it wouldn't be too intrusive to them to add on your lines. Where did you when the people are coming in, and you're asking those questions, can you say, did you see an advertisement on such and such thing? Did a family member see it, so to help you encourage, so that you can more focused pinpoint? Are billboards working better than following the sports teams? Have you, I kind of do a lot of marketing and stuff like that, so.
I try.
If you can put that spot on that way that one of the questions, just to ask them, did you see it on TV to help you, or a family member or whatever?
I will tell you that the majority of our existing customers will tell you immediately when they walk in the door, hey, I know you. You were on the, you know, the thing.
Well, track that then.
But that's our existing customers. And then our new customers, we were so hard trying to do that. And I want to say it might be a 1 or 2, but then once again, we're tracking new. New is, hey, like you said, you saw the video and you told your brother,
Yeah.
and your brother's a veteran. So when they walk in, you know, we ask, and they're like, you know, I don't watch sports, but we're doing our best. It is very, when you have 15 people working in the office and 15 people contributing to that data, you get what they put in. You know,
Yeah, but
I'm trying.
It's so important, like I said, it's like, because I do some marketing for the other things that I volunteer for. And I try to focus in, and on this population, I'm 100% behind you on trying to get the veterans in there. And just that, to pinpoint more, to get it dialed in, that's all. And I think asking that question so that you know whether to be in billboards or buses, you know, the traveling stuff, because it still goes back to the stigma. I don't want to ask for a hand, but when the family members actually help them, you know, and help persuade them, I think that's a great big advocacy for it. And thank you for what you do.
Okay, so we're in March. So the earliest I can start that would be possibly April. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Wallace.
Thank you. I just wanted to say kudos to everything that you're doing. It's really great to see. My husband just recently started coming to the office instead of going downtown. It's a lot of pushing, but he's there. And he hasn't complained, which is good because that's the only time I hear anything is if he's complaining. But great job on just the change of marketing. You know, I think veterans, speaking to veterans, makes a big difference, gives you that real like pull and feeling of being seen, you know, and understanding. So I think that's a great switch, and I hope that you'll have a great outcome of it, but I'm pretty sure that you will. So great job on everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Grott.
Thank you. Not related to the conversation, but to veterans. I recently visited Fisher House in Detroit. I am kind of wondering if our veterans are taking advantage of that beautiful facility that is.
They're not allowed to stay in the facility.
They not?
No. So the Fisher House is for family members visiting
Yes.
the veteran.
Yes.
But the veterans don't stay in the facility.
Even if they stay in Detroit hospital, the
Yes.
family can stay.
Yes.
Is there any families from Macomb taking advantage of?
I couldn't tell you that. I don't have that data. That would be the Fisher House. I mean, that would be to ask the Fisher House. I do know we have a Fisher House in Ann Arbor.
Yes.
And they
there's
just
another.
opened the one in Detroit. And it's not that far away from the VA hospital. I don't even keep track of the data. I mean, the only data that I keep track of as far as dealing with the VA hospital is how many rides do we give? Because
Are you
we pay for it.
promoting that facility that veterans could take advantage of?
It's for veterans that end
families,
up
yes,
staying the night
Yes.
and having surgeries that have to
Yes.
stay multiple days. The VA hospital promotes that. So
Okay.
when someone schedules a surgery and it's multiple days and they have to bring their family, I do know Ann Arbor does tons of surgeries for people in the UP and all over the state. So the VA pays transportation to bring them down for surgeries, and then the family stay at the Fisher House. And when they get released, then they all go home. So I am no clue, because we also Detroit services Toledo.
Okay.
Toledo is part of Detroit's catchment area. So it's a good question, where's everybody coming from? But I mean, I could probably ask the Fisher House if they track it. I don't know.
There is great program, and I am hoping that the veterans family, they can take advantage of it, because that is really nice facility, and it's just for veterans and their families.
it's kind of like for everybody else, it's kind of like a Ronald McDonald House. You know,
It's really
tied to
nice,
tied
believe
to
me.
tied to a you know, children's hospital. This is like a place for families to stay when they have a long-term, you know,
Yes.
veteran. The good news is, you know, for the most part, if you live in like St. Clair Shores or Roseville and that, you're 20 minutes from the VA.
Yes.
So family would probably want to stay home versus people that are being sent to Detroit, you know, from other locations. Because St. Clair uses Detroit also. So that's a longer drive. Well, hey, if it's snowing, my family doesn't want to drive either. So,
Yes.
but I'll see what the Fisher House could give us.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Seeing no other speakers, can we please vote?
Thank you.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you, Laura. We appreciate everything you do. All right, we will move on to item B, a budget amendment for Macomb Community Action Great Start Readiness Program. Startup grant funds awarded at $210,000. Can I get a motion to recommend to full board? Have Motion by Wallace, support by Howard. And we have Director Scott here. How are you?
I'm doing well. I hope you all are too. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. I have two amendments in front of you today. The first is a budget increase for GSRP funding. This is funding that helps to enhance our Head Start preschool program. These funds will be used to prepare classroom spaces, purchase furniture, make necessary improvements to HVAC systems in buildings where we'll be hosting Head Start preschool classrooms. The amount is $210,000, and this is an increase that comes to us. It's from the state, but it comes through the Macomb ISD.
All right, thank you. Seeing no speakers, can we please vote?
Motion passes 12-0.
All right, that was an easy one. Can we move on to item C, budget amendment, Macomb Community Action, Water 2026, decrease from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, MDHHS, in the amount of $403,891. Can I get a motion to recommend a full board?
Support Zinner.
Motion by Wallace, support Zinner? Sorry. Would you like to speak on this?
Sure. Thank you. Again, this is a budget amendment that represents a decrease of $403,891. This is, it's fairly common for the funding and the contracts that we receive through Department of Health and Human Services to come to us with a placeholder amount. The initial contract for this program year arrived with $1.3 million in it as an estimate, and the actual allocation came out to be $896,000. So this represents a decrease of just over $400,000.
Okay, Commissioner Howard.
I have a question really on the process, because this is like I think the third time this year that you've been before us for something like this, where the state government will give you a placeholder number, and then you're seeing this large decrease. $400,000 is significant when we already, if every resident in Macomb County utilized the RAP program and the services that we have, you know, there's still not enough money.
Correct.
And so, like, I just don't understand. Why do they do that?
I don't mean to sound flippant, you'd have to ask them. It's a process that seems to have been going on for longer than I've been here. It seems to happen just about every year that, you know, we receive these numbers that we use to build our budget, and then throughout the year, there's increases and decreases, which brings me back just about every month.
Yeah, I mean, I will gladly call our friends in Lansing and ask why, because this is not just a dollar amount. These are lives that you're trying to help serve in Macomb County that we're no longer going to be able to serve. And so that disrupts plans. And if it was $10,000, $20,000, I get that, but this is almost $500,000.
Agreed.
Like, that's a significant hit in a budget for any program. we just got to do better. So I know it's not on you, but thank you for clarifying
No,
the
and I
process.
appreciate you bringing that up. The only thing I would say is that because it is common for these amounts to fluctuate throughout the year, I certainly can't see into the future. It's not outside of the realm of possibility for another amendment to come through that would raise this up. But there's no guarantee.
Right. Thank you.
Commissioner Wallace?
I'm on a roll, guys. Just a quick question. How long would it take, like if I called for a service like this for help, how long would it take for me to get that help?
So we've been looking into this recently. Our wait times for water, you'd be looking at about 2 weeks, possibly 3 weeks to get your situation resolved.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
I do have one quick question. So another thing is too, with these decreases that you get, like, how does that affect your, like, staffing levels? Does that affect your staffing levels at all?
No, these are funds, as to Commissioner Howard's point, these are funds that actually go to the program resources. So
Okay.
that's money that we will not be able to use to pay water bills and water bill arrears.
Right, I guess my question would be like, well, if you're getting less funds in to support these programs, does that mean you need less staff because you're gonna only be able to distribute so much of these resources out, and then you're just gonna be turning people away after, obviously, the funds run out?
So for water in particular, that's actually our most in-demand program or most requested service. We have 2 other funding sources that we are also currently spending through. There's the REP program that was previously mentioned, and then there's also a grant we received from the state, I want to say 2 years ago, Local Water Utility Affordability. And it's a little over $1 million that we're continuing to spend through. So we continue to serve people. We continue to have sources to provide for people. We may run into a situation where we come to the end of those funds as a result of this reduction, but not for the foreseeable future. So because we still have these funds and these resources available, we still maintain the same staffing levels to process the requests.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Van Sickle?
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
With the reduced budget amount, how does that compare to last year?
I don't have last year's number in front of me. I can get that for you.
Okay, and did you use all the funds allocated last year?
Oh, we did, yes.
Okay. Yeah, if you could let us know what that is
Yeah,
from last year. Thank you.
All right, seeing no other speakers, can we please vote?
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you, Edward.
Thank you all for your time.
All right, we're going to move on to item D, a budget amendment, Health and Community Services Financial Empowerment Center Program in the amount of $20,000. Can I get a motion to recommend a full board?
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Howard, supported by Van Sickle.
Chair,
We have-
Chair, I
yes.
see $29,000. Am I wrong?
Yes, 29,000.
Oh, I thought you said 20. Thank you.
Did I say 20?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, 29,000. We have Andrew here. How are you?
Good afternoon,
Good.
Commissioners. Great to see you.
Reduction before you started.
Yeah, I was getting a little nervous. I have to come back for the 9,000 now. In front of you is a budget amendment for $29,000. This was actually a grant that came to us from a bank for financial empowerment training that we contracted through MSU Extension. This was actually last year's program. These are rollover funds, so it's from that initial pot of $100,000 that's just rolling over to the brand new year to use out those grant funds and expend those funds for continual program for the first-time home buyer program that MSU Extension does. So we're just making a budget amendment to make that correction in our budget this year.
All right. Seeing no speakers, can we please vote?
Motion passes 12-0.
All we'll move on to item E, which is a contract, Spalding, DeDecker Associates, MRHP Regional Action Plan Revision in the amount of $50,000. Can I get a motion to recommend to full board?
Support.
Motion by Wallace, supported by Van Sickle. All right, Andrew?
Thank you, Commissioner. This is, again, the work that we continue to do for our Macomb Regional Housing Partnership with Affordable Housing. Some of you might recall that we did a big project last year of housing needs assessment. And this is the continuation of that process and that step to make really a strategic plan. It's a requirement for Mistretta to have a RHP, regional housing plan. And so what this grant is allowing us to do to contract with Spalding DeDecker, who we use for our housing and needs assessment, so they're familiar with the work. And this is all being utilized through Mistretta grant dollars, the action grant dollars that we received. And what we'd like to do is really align our plan to match what we found in that assessment, which makes sense strategically. Once we found out where our opportunities are, to prioritize and come up with strategies and objectives to achieve those areas and to make improvements there. So this group would come and help facilitate meetings with our RHP folks to help make that plan into actual paper and help us to actually get that down so that we have a target moving forward. So this is what these grant dollars will be used for, this contract.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Goike.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for being here. Spalding DeDecker, I'm very familiar, done a lot of work off their prints and stuff. So the nuts and bolts are they assessing different size properties or different size houses? I just want to, because we're spending money on it, so I have a better understanding if somebody asks me.
Yeah, great question, Commissioner. What they're doing is they're taking vast amounts of data that was collected and analyzed through our housing needs assessment. So that was put into a very large, assessment report, which is available on our site that you can look at. They are going to take that information that we came up with and really talk with communities of how best to move forward. So this is kind of the action plan as a result of that assessment. What do you do with that information and data, and what makes sense for our communities in Macomb, and how do we move forward? So it's our continual commitment to actually action and community impact, as opposed to just having a nice little report that has data in it. What are the next steps to actually get action with this? So they're not necessarily drilling down to like lot sizes and looking at that. That is more somewhat, in a way, being done through our zoning atlas project, which is another project that's going on right now too, that it should be done hopefully this late spring or early summer.
So would it be fair to say that this is the data that is coming into it? It would say we need more 2 bedrooms close to these type of facilities so that they have busing, so that they have the proper schools or the proper hospitals in the area. Is that the kind of data that's being put into it?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you very much, Andrew.
Commissioner Van Sickle.
Thank you. Don't some of the jurisdictions in the county do housing assessments also?
Not that it depends on what you mean by housing assessments, but not in the terms of like looking at all their housing stock. They might do master planning. That's different from looking at their housing stocks and opportunities of what are the needs. So that's really what the overall housing assessment was trying to accomplish, because that doesn't exist on a local municipality level. So we've shared this data and created community profiles that we can share with each of the communities and their planning departments to help inform decision making. Because what we're not doing is we're not telling local municipalities what to do as the county. We want them just to have all that information to make those hopefully informed decisions for what's best for their communities.
How far down does this data go in the sense that there's 27 municipalities? Is there just 27 buckets that this generates, as opposed to like South Warren, North Warren, East Sterling Heights,
Yeah,
West
it
Sterling?
doesn't drill down to census tracts in terms of local municipalities, so the lowest level is the local municipality. So,
Okay.
City of Warren would receive their own report for the city of Warren.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
No problem. Seeing no other speakers, can we please vote?
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Andrew. All right, at this time, I will open up public participation. This is an opportunity for the public to participate. You have a maximum of 3 minutes on any issue. Does anyone wish to speak at this time? Seeing none, I will close public participation and move on to commissioner comments. Seeing no speakers, I will close commissioner comments. And then I will move on to item 17, which is closed session for the purpose of updating and discussing pending litigation. Can I get a motion to enter into closed session for the purpose of updating and discussing pending litigation listed on full page 4 of the agenda?
So moved.
Support.
I have a motion by Howard, support by Brott. Can we please vote? Yep. All right, who's actually really good now? Okay?
Motion passes 12-0.